tonight.
Are you ready to get casual? Grab your favorite adult beverage or combustible plant and join us for our roundtable TTRPG discussion. Oh yeah, it's time for Casual Friday. And now, here are your hosts.
Hey everybody, Ryan, Jim, Wednesday, Friday. Brad's not here, man, but we got a special guest star in the house, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dolly. What up?
Oh my goodness. Hello, Dolly.
Dolly's the best. She rarely lets me exploit her reviews, but it's winter. It's cold, so she enjoys she's a lapdog now that the temperature's down. Hey guys, we're talking about Critical Role, campaign 4, episode 6, Soldier's Table, Knives and Thorns, and the predictions that we had were that the soldiers were going to fight a lot, and they did. We got two big combats, and something else that I've been curious about now that we're into like the meat of the campaign, whether a episode is going to be fully one table or if at the break they're going to switch between tables. And something I did not consider, which I think we've learned now, we don't have a ton, it's a very small sample size, but it seems like the cold open will be from a different vantage point. And then we'll go into this week's story, because this episode opens with none of the soldiers, but a Valus flashback, this really idyllic elf forest clearing. They're doing like a maypole dance. It was nice as like a point of contrast to see.
Yeah, Brennan started with when was Valist her happiest? And then the story went out from there. And was Brennan wearing the same clothes in the cold open and in the episode? Like, were they filmed?
Oh, great question. No idea.
Think about that.
I'm a straight man. I don't notice what apparently it's a thing that he always wears the same shirt. No, I have fashion blindness. I don't know, but like, unless your shirt says something cool, I have no idea. It's either like, if I don't see nipples, it doesn't register, unless it's like.
I think he's a pretty limited wardrobe kind of guy.
Yeah. So no idea. That's an interesting question, because there is the whole shooting schedule, Hollywood types, logistics to this all. But the Valence thing was nice. It was interesting to see him, for kind of the second time, hit the concept of memory. Like, I don't know if you all remember your college psychology, neurology, but like the reason you remember stuff is because you sleep sometimes, and elves don't do that. So what is their process of like memory formation, taking something from short term down into long term, especially, with centuries and centuries of memories there. Her mom walks up and forms a memory. And I'll do that sometimes too. Just like, isn't this nice? And I'll look around, just be like, yeah, this is the golden age, and we're going to appreciate this looking back one day.
Did you ever play 1,000-Year-Old Vampire?
No, I have not.
I haven't either, but I've studied it. I've been trying to get my hands on a copy. It's hard to get an actual hardback copy. But the gist of the game is you're a vampire who lives for 1,000 years, and so there's only so many things you can remember. And so that's part of the game, is that you have to sacrifice certain memory. You lose memories, based on dice rolls and choices you make and that kind of thing. And so it's like kind of a sad game, or it can be, depending on how you play. It can be, losing. You only got so much space up there in that brain.
And it seems like such a good thing, right? Like, I want to be an elf because I can meditate for 4 hours, and that's a long rest. And like game mechanic wise, that's super cool. We get her in the present tense with, I always want to call him Oculus, and that's maybe not on me, but Octus is a hollow one, so he also doesn't sleep. And again, like from a player facing side, that's like a cool thing, but from like a lived experience, that might suck to never be able to sleep again. That would be bad.
Yeah, the cold open has actually 2 scenes in it, because we start from the Valus flashback, which is just trying to, Brennan is just trying to do some dramatic irony here by contrasting young Valus full of promise and optimism and hope, to present day Valus, who's, been crushed by the weight of the world. And she and Octus are in the tavern. And the scene is a little weird. I think Brennan kind of expected them to role play a bit, but they didn't really. They're both just kind of sitting there. So Brennan was like, all right. And that's it.
And scene.
And, I watched the opening crawl this time, or the opening, the title sequence. Watched the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do not like.
Don't like. Feel like it's a placeholder. It's like a very high production placeholder.
Yeah, but
Which
it
is scary,
looks
but-
like, it reminds me of PBS Masterpiece Theater my parents used to watch when I was a little kid. It's
straight up, like we're going into an obscure Shakespeare play.
And it's like it's like not the right frames per second. It's like 24 instead of 29. I don't know. There's something kind of weird about it.
That's interesting. Is it filmy? It does feel very different. Yeah, and I can see why you would like. Yeah, it's like, did you guys shoot this on film? Like it seems very high production, which is weird for something that is only going to be used for a couple months. So like, is this the thing? I don't know. We open with a very verbose, nice, rich recap, because I think they've kind of come to understand that the characters at the table don't necessarily all know what the deal is with each other. So Brennan did a very long lead in, which was nice. And then Tyranny wakes up and asks our humble gnome hermit who they're staying with, so tell me about your dead wife. And it was weird and nice and weird.
That was a little weird. Also, before that, we got confirmation on what the storm rack is. It is an eternal storm, which now seems, in hindsight, seems pretty obvious.
Yes, the storm rack has been going on since the gods died. Is it eternal? I don't know. It's been going on for 70 years, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down.
And all bad things is getting worse. And asking about the dead wife stuff, then we get the knife with the aura, which becomes a big plot point in later on in this episode that I never quite really understood. I didn't quite get this part. But we can talk about that later when it becomes a big conflict. There were some things that confused me.
Yes, it seemed like there's just like a lot of opportunity and a lot of cooks in the kitchen, and this is what happens in D&D. People improvise, and people improvise off of that, and you're not necessarily always showing your full hand, especially if you're anticipating the development of something over a very long campaign. And like, when I have my young new Dungeon Master Advisory cap on, I say, don't do that. Nothing is promised. But if anyone's going to make it for the long haul, it's these guys. they got a year or two to stick these landings. So they're just doing a lot of setup work now. So I think we saw, it's interesting. This develops throughout the whole episode. This is just the beginning of it. But even in the cooldown, they were talking about just the interplay between players of like, I want to do what my character's doing. I don't want to step on what you're trying to have your character story be like. Those things might be in conflict. How do we navigate that? Some very interesting stuff, which I think we'll get into towards the end. We also learned in that interchange that the gnomes goddess, because every species has their own, was the goddess of magic, which is nice. Put that in the lore drop, in the lore doc that I know all you nerds are keeping. We don't know what all the gods are, but the halflings had trickery, the elves have life, nature, humans have the sun, orcs had war. Who am I missing? Beast folk, I guess? We don't know yet.
Yeah, we don't know. So they're eating breakfast. Thimble gets a toy sword that she asked about last session. It's a +1 scimitar stats. Daughter kept it under her pillow, but it's also enchanted to make small toy objects come to life. First he said once per day, but later on he let her use it again after a short rest. So who knows?
Well, no, it does two things. It does two things.
Oh, does it?
It
I thought it
has
could bring Sir Stagathy to life, and that was the
it,
thing.
it brought Sir Stagathy to life, and it was like, oh, cool. Like, how big of a thing can I use this on? It's like, not toys, only toys. It's not as useful as you think. And then it turns out to do like, I forget what the 2d8. It does like extra damage against incorporeal things because it's a tiny sword that he enchanted to help his little daughter fight against nightmares. So it's enchanted
Yeah.
against incorporeal things, which they don't know and they find out in use, which is the best way to use magic items. And I so rarely pull it off because there's often such a lag between you handing a thing to the player and then like using it in the circumstance where it would go off.
Yeah.
A lot of magic items get handed out in this little scene here.
Yeah, it felt very much like the Fellowship leaving Rivendell, and they're like,
Mm.
here's a nice shirt for you, here's a sword for you, here's a pokey stick for you. It was kind of a lot. It was kind of like that. Tyranny stole the knife. Nobody saw it. Then Olbid gives everyone different chanter's eggs that were all variations of smoke powder bombs, some kind of incendiary thing. I didn't quite understand.
One was like, yeah, it's stealthy. It felt like Pass Without Trace or something. One was Contagion. I don't know. And one's a mystery. It's like, I don't know what it does, but if you need things to change quickly, this will do that, which I love. I'm a huge fan of OP single use magic items. The Achilles heel of that, in my experience, is that players will hoard them and never use them. So this is the first time I've really seen the idea of like, oh, these are about to go bad. Like these have an expiration date. You need to use these soon or they'll be worthless. And that kind of counteracts that player. There might be a better time for me to use this, so I'm never going to use it tendency.
Yeah, yeah, that is definitely a problem. Every video game player can also attest to that. There's a full inventory of stuff at the end of the game they were saving. So they, over breakfast, they have a planning session, which turns into Robbie death gripping Sam's injured hand.
Ooh.
They invented TLDR, the ancient wizard.
Love it.
It was very brief in his speeches. Wick recaps meeting his grandfather being an angel. But he thinks at this point, he still thinks his family can see the error of their ways. And then Thimble, very rightfully, in my opinion, questions the plan of pretending to try to convert people. She's like, why are we doing this? And I'm like, yeah, Laura, I agree. I don't understand why they're doing it either. Then they kind of explained it in a way that made sense. But then Cadigan raised an interesting question. He said, what happens if we find Sid? We assume he'll join us, but we really have no idea. We don't really know what his motivations are for anything.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. That occurred to me last time of like, they're just chasing this person who like no one's spoken to for a while. Well, I guess Thimble has. And we learned, I don't know, maybe in this sequence? No, we learned later in this episode that Sid is looking for Teor. And that's why he's running away, because he hasn't seen Teor in forever. Doesn't know that Teor came to town. In this, and then later in this episode, I was like, I'm going to make a prediction. It's not full strength yet, but there is a real possibility that we're going to have like foe, but like not that foe, followers of the Candescent Creed. Sam has clearly written a Bible. I think we're getting to like, if this character doesn't get got in the next like few episodes, we might be looking at the birth of a new Jedi Order or Dudism. Like he is quick on dropping these, like they're a little self-helpy on like and self-consciously bad, but it's like neutral enough that you can almost project just like good vibes onto them. And he's written a Bible. Dude's got a document somewhere of a ton of these, I don't know, rhythmic, pithy sayings. Stuff like that with a very charismatic guy at their helm can go places. So we might be seeing people with the Candescent Creed the sticker on the back of on their bumper or whatever. He's making a cult. He's making a cult. Aiken Drum agrees with me. Yes.
Yeah.
Not to put too fine a point on it, but new cult. Calling it. I'll be here for it. Sign me up.
So after breakfast, they all, everyone leaves and go out into the Dahapshani wood. Dahapshani. Then Tyranny starts to see a vision of Ulbid tearing the house apart looking for that knife. And then it becomes magical and it speaks to her. And she decides to get honest with the group. And then Kat just goes hard on her.
Yeah.
Real hard. And takes the knife and then sends Wolfric off to return the knife. And when Sam said, that's Robbie, he just likes to yell at women and break people's fingers. That's not his character, that's him. Robbie's like, oh, my career. But this part, this scene, I didn't really understand it. Because later on, Cadigan is going to reveal that he didn't actually send the whole knife back. He just sent the hilt and he kept the blade. So I didn't understand that. I was like, why'd you get so mad if you're actually going to keep it? Like, did he just want it? Why did he go so ham on Tyranny?
I think that's Robbie splitting the difference. Cadigan was pissed that she stole the thing. This guy trusted them and put them up and fed them and gave them a warm bed and sent them off with a bunch of magic items and information, and she stole from him, and he doesn't know her at all and was pissed and doesn't participate in a ton of the scenes, right? So I think Robbie took a big swing when he had his pitch. And it felt real and true and good, like dramatic to watch. But again, this is the kind of thing where, like, if this is happening at your table, we need safety tools are a dirty word, but we all got to be on the same page. And like, you can watch moments later, the second like the spotlight's off of them, he like grabs her shoulders, like, we're cool, right? Like, sorry, that was intense. That wasn't me. That was in game, and she was cool with it because these are like pros who have that relationship and trust built. But yeah, don't try this at home, folks. Don't go down to your friendly local neighborhood game shop and start popping off on people the first time you play together. They're not gonna like it.
Yeah, those professionals do not attempt at home.
Mm-hmm.
So then there's one of those segments where you could tell Brennan just knows he needs to speak for about 90 seconds. And so he just sort of starts talking about flowers, and then he free associates that to the cycle of life and death. And then he's describing the forest, and he implied that a god died here in this area. And that's why the forest is so healthy. That was interesting. It's like, to make the forest as healthy, something really powerful had to die here to feed it, basically is what he said.
And then we get the standing stone, and then we get a battle royale. Like, it didn't go. He has said multiple times that this world is not balanced for you. And I did not do the math on the CRs, because I don't have to. They're level 3. The math isn't complicated right now. The army of Fae that comes pouring out of this forest, if it was a fight to the death, would have been a TPK. I mean, maybe half of them. I mean, a sleep spell going off. As we were going live, we were talking about some differences between 2014 and 2024. One of them that I dislike the most, to the point where I'm like, am I just a grognard now, is the sleep spell. I like rolling a giant amount of dice and that being the HP of the things you knock out. Now it's just a save. And like, game design wise, that's the way every other freaking thing works. Like, it makes sense. It goes a lot smoother. It's a lot less math. It's probably a good thing. It's the thing I would advocate for in any other situation. But I want sleep to be a bunch of dice. It's just, I don't know. It's nostalgia. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think they could have fixed sleep. The problem with sleep is that the old sleep is that you don't get to pick who you're casting it at. You just cast it at a group, and it starts from the lowest HP on up. I want to cast it on one, like, I want to bet all the dice on that one NPC. That would be more fun. Like, you could roll 5d8 and spend them on wherever you want. I'm going to spend it all on that one, knocking out that one NPC.
Agreed.
That would be fun. But they didn't
But
ask us.
They did not ask us, which is a shame. They pretended to. There was a bunch of UAs and stuff. But we were angry at the time. I wasn't talking to them when they were doing that. I've written down. There's a second sheet of paper in the notes today, because of the amount of Fae in this glade. Who, like, I was impressed when he was pulling all these out for a combat, and then they all have names and voices and personalities and wants and desires, and like,
Yeah,
the amount
the
of
combat.
development here.
The gang stumbled into Hawthorne's glade, and that's what triggers the combat. Is they come out and the pixies are saying demons are approaching, and they're saying, fear not, sister, to Thimble while they're attacking. And Tyranny summons her packed weapon, which we learned is demon claws. I think the blueberry war paint was adorable. And then, so during the first round, it's one of those combats with, we've all been in those where everybody rolls initiative and the person who rolls highest is like, ah, crap. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like, where you want to roll low because, like, you don't know is this a fight? We don't know. Are they angry? I hope they roll high so we know what to do. But Travis said, screw that, and just went kaboosh. And guiding bolted a pixie named Honeysuckle.
My favorite.
But it was pretty clear that Brennan intended this to have a non-combat out, because he didn't just murder Honeysuckle right away. He sent Honeysuckle into death saves.
Right. That was a big signal.
Yeah. So it was like he threw them into combat, but it was clearly a situation where they probably did not want to fight. The description of the red cap was terrifying. Normal head on a doll-sized body, a bright red cap dripping blood. The guy's name was Skinner. I'm gonna cut you open, and stick my hat in you. Very weird.
That is what the Fae should be. Like, that's how you make Fae scary. They're ridiculous and absurd. They're playing by a whole other set of rules.
Yeah.
And they're going to kill you. Why am I wearing iron boots that reduce my walking speed? So I can kick you so hard and cover my hat in your blood. Yes, please. More of that.
So Cadigan casts Spare the Dying on Honeysuckle, and a good persuasion check ends combat. No, it was a bad persuasion check, right?
Yeah.
Then Wick, who his character art before had said human, but he reveals that, I'm pretty sure it said human. It said human cleric, but he reveals that he's going to use the Asimar ability, Celestial Revelation. So or maybe it just didn't say the species on the thing. Maybe I just assumed
cleric,
he was human.
and I think we know that he is an Asimar, or whatever they're calling Asimar, sorcerer. I mean, we get more of that. He's like, I'm going to use my cleric ability sorcery points at a certain phase of this fight or the next one, and it's just, we're here now. We all know the reveal has been revealed.
Yeah, and then he makes a religion check. Says, what you beam, you become. And then Wick still decides to basically be ignorant. He decides to think that the messenger was a lie, but the message is right. And he gets rewarded with wings spreading from his back, while the shambling mound, Shuffa, starts to bow, and he's got a new little follower.
So good. I've never made a shambling mound cute, but I might now.
Then there's the break, when they've got that Return of the Jedi, everyone bowing to the Ewoks bowing to C-3PO moment. After the break, combat is stopped. Cadigan does cure wounds. We learn that Thimble is what's called a garden fairy. Skinner's apeshit. Keeps making threats to Teor. It's like, I'm going to kill you. I don't care what they say. And Hawthorne of the Glade Says we defend our border fiercely, which made me think radical militant pixies is so very Brendan Lee Mulligan.
Yes. Her, we
I'll-
kind of alighted over her rolling up like in tank treads made out of thorny vines. Like, pretty dope entrance for a dryad.
yeah, there are three main sort of important figures or leaders here in the Glade. That's a little bit later. There's all kinds of different people here, big people, little people, all different kinds of fae, non-fae. Wick gets some strawberries. Thimble wants to see the moon crystal. There's a note from Olbid. Thanks for giving back the knife. Now Cadigan says he actually removed the blade, and I'm like, I don't follow this. I don't understand what's happening here.
Based on the cooldown and me reflecting on all of this, I think Robbie decided. I think Robbie felt bad, maybe in part because Sam made fun of him for yelling at Whitney. That is maybe a part of it. But he says as much that he didn't want to like steal her thunder. Like this moment was set up to like reveal something about her character. So like he felt like the player hedged. And now he did the right thing according to like what his character would do, returned the important part of the knife, which I don't necessarily know if I agree with, but the handle is back with its proper owner, and the blade and the tang, the metal parts of the knife are with Cadigan still, I think, explicitly so that Tyranny can get them, and revealed more of her demon nature, which, I mean, feels like she's there for suffering. It wasn't the possession of the thing so much as causing pain, and she doesn't like that about herself, but is compelled to do so. It feels like we're tiptoeing around maybe some character development that will end up destroying her character, because if she doesn't do what she's supposed to do, like she goes back to hell. She's too nice of a person, does she stop existing on this plane of existence? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we learned later, I think in the cooldown, that Brennan gave her some rules that she said are very, very messed up. She was like, you guys have no idea the kind of stuff that is going on with my character.
And in these two fights, we learned that she maybe doesn't know D&D Beyond that well, but like I think she actually doesn't know D&D that well, which was surprising to me. She makes an attack roll and she's like, do I add stuff to this? So like real basic knowledge, which I'm sure some, segment of male internet is yelling about because she's a girl. But like I was surprised because she seems so good at it, and like, God, I love that. Like, give me that player. The person who knows where all the stats are but doesn't role play at all. Like, give me the person who's never played D&D before and who like throws themselves wholeheartedly into character every time.
Well, she definitely does. She was definitely doing that thing that I see new people do, is where they roll the die and then they say out loud the number on the die.
Yeah.
And then they go look up their modifier. They're like, rolling the die, and she goes, that's an 11. And you hear Brennan over there typing. He's like, all right, 11. Because experienced players, you don't say the number out loud until it's the total. Because otherwise you're saying two numbers and that's confusing, right?
One of my biggest pain points as a dungeon master is people doing math out loud, because I feel guilty telling them not to do that, because I'll do that sometimes too. And like, we're all at different efficiency levels and like comfort levels with math. But like, yeah, 18 plus 3 plus 4. Okay, what was that? It's like, you tell me, man. I'm doing all the other numbers. You got to do your numbers. Ah! But I swallow that down. Maybe that's just me. That's exactly where my level of math anxiety is.
So we get introduced to a flurry of characters inside the Glade. Characters who could have potentially all gotten killed if that persuasion check had not gone well. And the religion check had not gone well. But so, yeah, we meet a wide range of people. Brennan is a smart dungeon master, and that when he introduces you to a faction, he shows you that there are splinters within the faction. If everybody at the Hawthorne's Glade believed the same thing, it wouldn't feel like a faction. It would feel like a moral. It would feel like something thematic the DM is trying to hit you over the head with. But no, when you introduce a faction, it's important that you could show one person who's like, I think the faction is the best thing that's happening to this land. Then the next person says, I love this faction, but we need a new leader. We need a change in leadership. Then the third person says, this faction is rotten to the core. I'm on my way out. And that's like a full range of opinions. And then the party can make up their own mind how they feel about it. You know, they're not being propagandized toward believing one way about the faction.
Yeah, you don't need a dozen. How many? If we'll count the Lost Boys as one, which I loved that description. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, and then 10. So it's literally there's a dozen NPCs with names. 11 and Professor Grasshopper, whose name we don't get, but who clearly had one because that guy has. There was more. There was more to that well. But yeah, we got Honeysuckle, who is now in love with Tayor because he made lights. And they were like, some things happened while you were unconscious, Honeysuckle. But she is now crushing hard. And it was pretty clear that Travis, if not Tayor, had no idea what to do with that. And so he was much more comfortable dealing with Skinner, who wanted to put a hand in him, slash his hat in him. Rainbloom, the Myconoid who barfed spores, so like weird and slow and terrible, and like all these plant creatures and Fae are like, yay, the sun, and he's like, my eyes, I live underground, this is not good for me. So good. Hawthorne, the leader, who he says, yeah, if you make the safe bet every time, you're just watching your stack decrease, which is a great like poker metaphor, but like she knows she's got to make a bet even if it's like the wrong move. She's just like, she's got a bad hand and she's doing her best to like keep this community together. She seemed like very, for someone without like a crazy voice or like a weird gimmick, like she seemed very three-dimensional and believable. Shufa was incredible. Rust Blossom, I'm in love with. Don't even know what they are, but they just like very I don't know, Spirited Away carries a little plate of strawberries to them. And then we meet Subri the Fawn, who we don't learn is a fawn at first because she's wearing a kerchief to cover up her excised horns. We don't know, don't find out what happens there, but her horns have been cut off and seared. Very, very dark, very weird stuff. And then Sallow, who is the other VP in this place, who is a hag, and he does such a great job of like describing a hag before saying the word hag.
Yeah, and so yeah, it seems like Hawthorne, Sallow, and Subri are the three leaders or the three most important figures here. And Sallow is pretty interesting. I like the way Brennan framed it as like, oh, I don't get to be Fae because I'm not beautiful. Like just
delightful
yeah,
was the word. Which
yeah, they were all like,
word.
ew, what are you doing here? And she's like, I'm Faye. I have every right. I have just as much right as the pretty pixies to be here, which was like, damn, Brennan. And so she wants to see Wick. Super's mad at Hawthorne. Something isn't right here. Cadigan's hit with an entangle for intruding. Says they sent Sid to the Wraith Tree seeking visions. That Sid wanted to go to Gormley to protest the deed of a stronghold, which we knew, was searching for passage far east to Old Oberdemia, which I think was new info. And Hawthorne had a vision of Sid cuffed in irons.
I am glad that they spelled out what Sid's agenda is, because that was kind of the subtext, but it's such a bad plan that I'm like, that's stupid. Like, do we know that? But like, yeah, that's what like characters, especially in Crisis, could do stupid shit. It's okay. It doesn't have to. If it looks good to them, that's fine. But seems like a bad plan. Hey man,
Yeah.
I have this deed now. The guy who's going to come behind me and says it's really him, this guy whose name's on this deed. Yeah, don't listen to him. Listen to me. Seems unlikely to work.
And then Wick is approached by that grasshopper man you mentioned earlier. And the grasshopper man, I thought this was a pretty interesting scene because he says, you bear a symbol that's not welcome here. Says the Candescent Creed is very oppressive to small folk. And Wick has a moment of realization. Wick he's like, it's not mean to small folk. There's nothing in there that says to be mean to small folk. And then, Brennan's like, okay, let me explain. Let me explain how religious oppression works here in 3 sentences. Brennan's just like, you could see how if you wanted to do something evil, there are verses you could quote to make people believe that it was the will of the light. As another, damn, Brennan.
You can't prove this isn't allegory. This is allegory. You can't prove this is an allegory.
I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards.
See, the trick is you lay on the subtext real thick, and then you say it out loud afterwards.
Garth Marenghi's Dark Place. If you haven't seen it, you should see it. Tayor meets Bauka fairy Jauf, who gives an envelope to Tayor that was meant for Thiazi, and we didn't really have time to read it. It seemed like Laura wanted to stop and read it, but then Brennan's like, nope, too late. We got to go. We're moving. Things are moving.
Things are happening. Do you know that? Do you know that word? Is that a made up thing? Is that some folkloric tradition? I don't know. Bauka.
I have heard the word.
It feels like feels Eastern European. It feels like I don't know too much of my like Slavic folkloric traditions. But he was a character.
Fitness. Bauka is a fitness regime combining muscular flexibility and cardiorespiratory workouts.
Oh, that's why I don't know it.
Animal. Bauka animal. Quokka?
Quokka? No, those are those cute little weird, I don't know if they're marsupials or what. They look like Pikachu.
Yeah, I've seen them. I have a picture of me with one in Australia.
Oh.
The little quokkas.
Dolly just huffed because she is adorable and refuses to believe that anything could be cuter than her.
You want to hear a fun fact about the Melbourne Zoo in Victoria, Australia? They have an exhibit there. It's called the platypussery. That's what they call their platypus hatch. The platypussery. I've been to the platypussery.
They're on another level. And that level, by American standards, is filthy. And you don't understand, folks, how much it takes me effort to not curse like a sailor every time I come on stream here. So that's coming from me. Those guys is dirty. And I love it. But
Aussies are a rowdy people.
The line's somewhere else.
I'm sure can attest to that.
Yeah.
Aussies are very rowdy people.
It's got to be like living next to, I don't know, America, I guess. We're not good neighbors either. I can't talk to that.
So Thimble tries to get information about the Wraith Tree. And so the hag wants one of Thimble's memories. And so Thimble gives up a memory of why she gave him the nickname Thaz. And it was very disturbing when we come out of it and you can see in the memory they're eating pastries. When we come out of the memory, the hag is like, and I was like, oh, God. So yeah.
You know her fingers are too long. Too. It's like
yeah. Then she sees a vision of Kaz being bought by the Taconis and saying, screw Thiazi. They see a vision of Casimir saying, I can't wait till the rope snaps his neck or something. Something pretty terrible. Everyone gathers. They have to move. Wick promises to return to Shuffa.
I swear to God, if we don't see Shuffa again, I'm going to be mad. Because what the cold open or some element of being able to cut to the other tables, I feel like really opens. There's a lot of challenges with this storytelling endeavor that they've taken on, but there's a lot of opportunities too. So we could see. I don't know what. The Hounds of Timony are coming for somebody else. We learned from the soldiers' table. There can be all sorts of interesting cross pollination coming. In the heart of this season that I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, I was very curious. So in the cold open, they said that they were at an inn, and I don't believe when the last we know they were leaving the city.
Mm-hmm.
to go east, right? To go to wherever Lady Aranessa's people are from. I've already forgotten.
Delmar Pass, but it ain't Delmar.
The something orchard, the Golden Orchard,
The
something like.
Golden Orchard is where House Royce is. To get there, they're going through the. We kept saying I was making Delmarva jokes last week, whatever the mountain pass is. To get to where the Golden Orchard is where like the Barrow Keeper, the Barrow Holders, the Barrow Shield is. I don't know.
But so
We
I
don't
was,
know a lot.
yeah, I was wondering. So this means that I'm wondering if they had already filmed some of that, because now this. What if they during when they're role playing they never stop at an inn? Is that just going to be like screw it, we'll just hand wave that? We said an inn, but we didn't know then they were actually at a campsite. Just retcon it in the canon.
It's a good question. Is that I'm hoping that's the inn where now there's an empty gibbet, right? I forget what it was called, but I know it was about birds.
Yeah. So the next scene, they get to the Wraith Tree. They apply a short rest and they roll initiative as soon as they arrive. There's a figure floating in the glade that says to Thimble, "You should not have come." There's a bunch of undead here, and Brennan really says you can't tell how many undead are here because you can only see this very small area, and outside of that, you have no idea. But then Thimble casts Fairy Fire, Cadigan manifests Magic Bolt, and then Wulfric's Quiver. I didn't really kind of understand this part. It took a while. Wulfric had to go between his legs, and then he made a bolt, and then he takes out an addle.
Addle. I was so pumped. It's my favorite obscure weapon. I've actually used one to terrible effect, and not like terrible like effective. It's like 20 feet over the target, but it went far. Those things you could feel the physics behind them. But yeah, the scene where he's conjuring that arrow, it felt like it didn't quite work. They only got one. Is that like
it was weird?
There's story there, but that's also like. It feels like Robbie teeing up like a level up ability. Like he's got one of those arrows right now because of whatever. And he like eventually he's going to have them proficiency bonus times per day or who knows what. But like there was clearly something there that we'll learn more about. And I wonder if it is keyed into like a subclass ability that hasn't come online or what. But yeah, he takes out this custom weapon that he's used as a club. Apparently he's used to do slashing damage too, which I don't quite remember.
He says it can do bludgeoning, slashing, and also ranged.
So an addle is a spear chucker. It's like one of the most like rudimentary basic weapons. It's up there with a sling, but it is maybe why we exist. It's maybe why humans survived for so long. It's because we figured out how to throw spears real good. Can 100 people take on a gorilla? Well, like about 6 dudes took on a woolly mammoth, and it's probably because they had addles.
And we learn later in the cooldown that Perkins and Crawford designed this weapon. And the trade-off was that the range is decreased a little bit to 20 feet. But if you remember, Robbie also customized Dorian's weapons in Campaign 3. It didn't really come up again after he introduced it, but he talked about how he had a lyre, I think, or a lute, and his hand crossbow was like attached to the lute, so he had to like click it out, and his blade was the same way. His blade was like part of a cane or something.
It's like a moon blade, but it wasn't. Yeah.
Robbie had pretty custom weapons. And then it was during this fight that they switched Sam Wick's title card to say from cleric to sorcerer when he said, "I'm going to use my cleric ability of," I don't remember what, prismatic spray, or I don't remember what it was, but it was something definitely not a cleric spell. Tayor was up next, and Travis wanted to have a cool customized weapon too. So he describes this telescoping flail. And then now we can finally see there are a ton of zombies. Thimble attacks, their fireworks go off, says welcome home, and everybody's like, that's a bunch, man. It felt like there was a lot of new PC fumbling, a lot of searching D&D Beyond, a lot of looking up stuff. And it was kind of weird to see Brennan do this because I'm used to seeing it in Dimension 20 where I think a lot of that gets cut out.
Mm, that's
It
true.
was
I
it was
also,
different.
a lot of us, and not to remotely put myself in the same tier as Brennan Lee Mulligan, but people who've been running 5e for a long time are maybe at a disadvantage than new people coming into 2024 because like I I know I have much less confidence now in my knowledge. Even like I know a thing and then I'm like, is that still true? So like I am constantly looking at stuff up right now that I haven't looked up in a long time because like sleep, for instance. But a lot of the stuff when it's a brand new thing, it's almost easier to retain than to like delete and rewrite the information that has been input into your brain. And a lot of the stuff is the same still too. So it isn't like everything's different. So I think I chalk some of it up to that. I also chalk it up to 5e combat was a little clunky. This ran real smooth. They put in two monster fights and a lot of character development and role play into this episode, and it was long. But Brennan's got everybody's AC in front of him, so he's just calling out damage when they get hit, which some people quibbled with a little bit, and he explained. But it's been, I don't know.
Yeah, and
Even
also
masterful combat is slow.
there's two to three fewer players than regularly at that table.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
the soldiers table with five is going to run faster than seven or eight. So on Wick's turn, he figures out that this wraith is a dead cleric with some ancient holy symbol that burns away. We don't get to find out what it is. The wraith misses, which reaffirms Wick's faith. Sam's willful ignorance, the way he plays this character is so
I love
weird,
it. I love it.
stressful.
Stressful. Good TV. My God, I love it. The whole. So this is a wraith, which means it doesn't just do damage. It removes your hit, like your maximum hit points. Number goes down. Brennan's like, this thing can kill you in one hit. Let me clarify. It could kill any of you in one hit if it gets lucky. You, I think he says statistically, he is likely to kill you in one. And he did a shield that otherwise would have been 18 points of damage. And my man's got 20 HP. So that means he survives this fight. He's walking around with 2 hit points in a world of hundreds, in a dark forest full of 100 zombies. That's bad. Oh, you muted. Or my headphones are out. Hey, chat. Is it me? Oh, no. Doop, doop, doo, doo, doo. I can't hear you, but maybe my headphones died. No, they can't hear you either. All right, everybody, I'm in charge now. This is my show. This is what the moment I've been waiting for. Jim, you have a battery in your microphone? That seems unlikely. We got no sound from Jimothy. GM Jim is out of juice. So yeah, Critical Role, huh? The ability of Sam to play a character that he is willing to let die. They are making character-based choices, not player-based choices, again and again and again, and that makes for good TV, right? But I think that's also the way to play the game. So often I tell my players, drive it like you stole it. Jim is deep in the settings now. This was towards the end of the show, so maybe we can wrap it up. No, nope. I got no snaps. I got to no snaps. Let's see. I think it's hardware, bro. I don't got anything on my side to do. It's a bummer. It's a bummer, man. Boom. let's go to the chat. I think that's the hardest thing in good D&D, honestly, sticking to in-character actions when you, in quotation marks, know better. There is nope. All right, everybody. It's been a good run, but I think this is our last episode. Jim's retiring. So sad. So sad. I think the power of one shots and shorter campaigns, if you are averse to making those choices, where it's like, well, this is what would happen, and this is the most interesting story thing, and also might mean I die here. Those decisions are easier to make in a story that's about to end, which is why I'm a big fan of shorter campaigns and one shots. But it's also easier once you have done it a couple times in a one shot to make those big swings in a campaign. And that's why Sam's character is so riveting, is because he should have got smoked by all rights. He should have got smoked in that one. So yeah, wild stuff. The fight ends with them figuring out that they have to kill the tree to stop the undead. They had made the assumption, and understandably, that if they killed the wraith, this army of zombies would stop coming at them. But there is a lesson to learn here about alternative win. Nope, nothing. Zero. Are your meters moving? Damn, man. Alternative win conditions are dope. It's not just kill everybody. It's you got to take out the tree. And another way to kind of make that more interesting and likely to happen is by making it unwinnable by normal means. Brennan says at one point, let's be clear, there's too many, there's an infinite amount of zombies here. We're in a zombie level, and zombies are going to keep coming until you all die or you hit the objective, which is take out that tree. Tree has a glyph in it. We don't learn what that is, but they chat about it in the cooldown and talk about maybe making some religion checks to see what it is. We did learn this was an awakened tree that got and is now apparently some gateway to the realms of death. And yeah, they miraculously kind of get through this one, and that is the end of this episode. Jim contributing in chat. What a champion. The last thing I'm going to talk about is the QR code. I was going to pause this on the bottom of his goblet. I was going to pause it to take a picture to see what it was. And Whitney did it for us in the cooldown. And Sam is opening an American Girl doll shoe. I think that's the order of the words. An American Girl doll shoes store to compete with Brennan's famous American Girl doll shoe store. And Sam's business model is to just undercut the price. And Brennan said he's going to outperform him by volume because he is making upwards of 3 a month, which I thought was hilarious. And so did Travis. And I guess so did Jim. I don't know, because he's retired now, or he's off to buy a new microphone. Everybody, this has been great. We'll see you next time, which is Friday, where we're going to get casual. Like and subscribe to Landlocked Warlocks and all of the various good channels that you are watching this on. We are going to be talking about D&D and the TTRPG industry in general. We got some ideas. Might get a little creative with it. So yeah, thanks for hanging out. Sorry for technical difficulties, but guess what? Stuff happens. Bye, everybody.